Good afternoon to you here on the Rural Radio Network. I'm Bryce Duskett reporting. Joining us over the phone today, Nebraska Extension Educator Jenny Rees. And Jenny, sometimes we talk to you under positive circumstances, and unfortunately, from time to time, you're the one we call when there's some challenges out about the countryside, and that is the case today as we saw some flooding, 5+ inches of rain falling overnight in portions of eastern Nebraska, and I guess maybe we start here. Over the weekend, saw some crops destroyed in that Cozad-Gothenburg area due to hail. I guess as you look at that in general, when we receive that kind of devastating hail, imagine it's a total crop loss. Is that fair, Jenny?
It's pretty fair, Bryce. Unfortunately, it seems like some part of the state receives hail at some portion of time, but as you're getting close to that tasseling time, it does become a pretty near total loss. And sometimes what we've seen, like we saw last year in the York, Seward, Utica-Waco area, we saw that crop insurance would wait until after pollination, because there's some times where you get plants where the tassels will still come out and you'll have a tassel periodically and maybe the ears are still there. So sometimes crop insurance will wait and just see what happens with pollination. But for anything that was knocked off, like hailed off below the ear, it's a total loss, unfortunately, at this point.
Mm-hmm. I guess as you've looked at this, you kind of are in Hail Alley and you're part of the state, Jenny, over the past few years. When you do get hail this time of the year, what are some of your initial steps after kind of perhaps evaluating that this is going to be a complete loss?
Yeah, I'll just kind of share what we experienced last year. One thing is obviously contact crop insurance, and then they'll usually try and come out within the first 7 to 10 days or so, depending on their load. What I noticed last year is there's actually a little bit more time to make decisions when you get hailed at this point versus when you're hailed in June, because replant corn isn't an option. So then you're looking at either soybeans or you're looking at a forage. And so it gives you more time. Or some guys, they were looking at a small grain in the fall. So there's a little bit more time for that decision. So for a breather, that's something that we experienced last year. I mean, obviously soybeans, if they're going to replant soybeans, they're going to want to get in there as soon as they can with a shorter season. But those are some things that we saw. If they need forage, it provides an opportunity, or it provides an opportunity to sell forage, even if they don't need it. Or they can look at maybe a cover crop in the fall. We had guys even grazing fields of whatever was left in the corn stalks and even the palmer that came up afterwards. So there's maybe a little bit more time than what people think.
Well, Jenny, let's pivot our conversation a little bit. Go kind of on from hail to excessive amounts of rain. I just pulled up the app that I use to track rainfall as the numbers come in. Looking at the area north of Lincoln, these are just staggering numbers, Jenny. Looking at anywhere from 4.5 to up to 7.5 inches of rain that fell over the past 24 hours, particularly in the overnight hours. Imagine people driving around today, producers in that area going to see some obvious mid-season flooding. What can you do in this case beyond look at it and, I suppose, stress, unfortunately?
Yeah, and wait it out. Talk with other people. That's something that I've just found with every kind of event that we have. Just make sure that you're talking to somebody about it. But as they wait during this time, one thing that's in our favor is the cooler temperatures this week, Bryce. What we know about flooded corn and soybean plants is that when temperatures don't exceed 86 degrees, they have a better chance of survival. So that's something that's in our favor this week. We've got plants in anything that's in that V10 stage to before tassel. Those plants can survive 7 to 10 days if that temperature doesn't exceed 86 degrees. For anything nearing tasseling through silking, they can survive. What we'll see is reduced nutrient uptake, because obviously the soils are waterlogged, the roots don't have oxygen to really take the nutrients up into the plant. It's a critical time for nutrient uptake as those plants are trying to make the ears. And may see some pollination things. We'll just have to see how that progresses. For soybeans, we may see some stand loss, possible yield down the road, maybe reduced flower production, pod set. We're just going to have to see.
Well, it's unfortunate things to have to share talking about this, but it's important information, Jenny. I really appreciate you joining us today. Just a few seconds left. What else is on your mind? I guess for those who didn't receive the hail or excessive moisture in the last 24 hours, a lot of people looking at a pretty good stand of crops and coming into a July that has not really been excessively warm.
Yeah, I mean, overall, we've had a really good growing season so far. We really have so much that we can be thankful for. And I just think about how we're not irrigating this year. Compared to last year, we were irrigating starting at planting. So there's blessings in so many ways. Just keep looking for all the blessings. We'll have more information on our cropwatch.unl.edu site as well.
Jenny Rees, Nebraska Extension Educator, joining us over the phone today and here on the Rural Radio Network. I'm Bryce Duskett reporting.